Hello, and welcome to the Florida Nurse Practitioner, ranked as one of the best medical podcasts in Florida. This is the official podcast of the Florida Association of Nurse Practitioners, the premier APRN advocacy organization in Florida for all nurse practitioners. If you are not a member, you should be. Join today. Just go to flanp.org and click on the red box, Become a Member Today. Members get all kinds of perks, including discounted CEUs, including autonomous practice recertification CEUs, insurance discounts, free monthly CEUs, and plenty more. So join today and make your voice heard. Help us help you. We are here to support all APRNs in Florida to practice to our fullest ability of our education and elevate the APRN profession in Florida. I'm Paul Bond, APRN, your host for this show, and I want to thank you for listening to the show and helping make it one of the 10 best-ranked medical podcasts in Florida. And first, for some housekeeping today, the 2025 FLANP Annual Conference planning is underway. The dates are set for April 30th to May 2nd. The theme for this year's conference is in line with the 60th anniversary of our profession. The slogan will be Nurse Practitioners, 60 years burning brightly and shining strong. More to come on this as it's made available, so save the date. We'll be in Central Florida again, just like this year's conference was. So plan to come out and learn, network, and have a great time with us. A call for abstracts will be coming soon, so get your ideas together and get them to us. No idea is out of bounds at this point. Are you really good at billing or coding? Do you have any tips that you could give other APRNs on how to increase reimbursements? Have you any new or interesting way of providing care? Are you offering peptides or anti-aging maybe? Maybe you have a special service line that helps generate extra revenue for you. What types of patients are you really good at caring for? Diabetics, hormone balance. Everybody has a certain patient complaint that they really get good at taking care of and get very specialized at, or really like and really get into. Everybody's got tips and tricks that they can impart. You can turn that into a learning opportunity for your fellow APRNs, and you can pad your resume by saying that you have given a presentation at a national or state conference. So put your ideas together and let us know what you think. And our best-selling book, The Florida Nurse Practitioner Handbook, continues to be widely accepted and as a go-to reference. Everything from licensure issues to scope of practice to autonomous nursing in Florida to employment issues is covered in the book. We wrote this book in part because we field numerous questions every week on APRN practice issues. So while some may say all you need to do is read the relevant Florida statutes or go to the Board of Nursing webpage, this is, in practice, not true. Add in that there are multiple statutes that may pertain to your question, and you can spend hours or days just researching the answer. And you still may not have the answers to your questions. Our handbook does these hours of research for you, and we try to explain things in more detail and less legal jargon than the statutes do. State statutes are written by lawyers for lawyers. Meanwhile, our book was written by nurse practitioners who actually practice in Florida. If you haven't gotten your copy of it yet, you should seriously consider it. It'll save you hours of time just researching the law and may just help steer you clear of meeting the Board of Nursing under less than ideal circumstances. It's available as a physical paperback book or a digital download on Amazon, so get yours today. And we also have a new committee forming, the APRN Business Practice Ownership Committee. Do you own a practice of your own? Are you considering starting one? This committee is definitely for you then. Contact the association for more information on how to join and how to help out. And now on to the news you can use. First up, 31 August 2024 from the New England Journal of Medicine, Inflammation, Cholesterol, Lipoprotein A, and 30-year cardiovascular outcomes in women. Researchers measured high-sensitivity CRP, LDL cholesterol, and lipoprotein A levels at baseline in 27,939 initially healthy U.S. women who were subsequently followed for 30 years. The primary endpoint was the first major adverse cardiovascular event, which was a composite of myocardial infarction, coronary revascularization, stroke, or death from cardiovascular causes. The mean age of the participants at baseline was 54.7 years, and during the 30-year follow-up, 3,662 first major cardiovascular events occurred. Qualities of increasing baseline levels of high-sensitivity CRP, LDL cholesterol, and LPA all predicted 30-year risks. Now, while this study was done only on biological women, it might be transferable to men also. By using hsCRP, LDL, and LPA, we can better predict 30-year risk for cardiovascular disease. And as you know, CVD is a leading cause of morbidity and mortality in the U.S. and worldwide. So if you haven't already, start adding these tests, at least initially, to your healthy patients. Next up, 2 September 2024, from the European Society of Cardiology Congress, presentation on timing of blood pressure medications. In a presentation given this year at the European Society of Cardiology Congress, researchers presented findings from multiple studies on the timing of taking hypertension medicines. Researchers looked at whether taking these medicines in the morning or the evening were better for overall blood pressure control and reducing cardiovascular event risk. What they found was no appreciable difference between AM or PM dosing in the individual outcomes of death, MI, stroke, heart failure, hospitalizations, fractures, glaucoma, or cardiovascular or cognitive impairment. This was apparently true regardless of age, so it held true for younger patients as well as geriatric patients. The presenters suggested that spending time educating patients on the need to take blood pressure medicines at night doesn't change the outcomes, and that patients should take them when it best fits their schedule. The biggest part of education should be to have your patients understand to consistently take the blood pressure medicines on a daily basis, and they should be taken pretty much at the same time every day. And next, 10 December 2024, FDA dense breast notification requirement. Effective 10 September this year, healthcare facilities providing breast imaging services will be required to notify patients of their breast density in mammography reports. Radiologists are required to send 2 mammography reports, one to physicians and a more simplified lay report to patients. But while this information on the density of the breast tissue was not usually in the reports sent to the patients, it's now mandatory to be sent to the patients themselves. Patients will learn their density means their mammogram might be limited and they might have an increased risk for developing breast cancer. What this new requirement doesn't do, however, is set standards for future testing. This is still left to the provider to choose. So what does this mean for APRNs? It means we'll be spending potentially more time educating patients on their results and what options they have for future and further testing. From breast ultrasound to MRI, this will be something we will need to discuss with our patients and come to a mutual decision on what course is best to follow. If you're already doing this, great, you're good to go. If not, be prepared because it is coming. And next, this is kind of an older research report, but it just did come across my attention from 5 June 2024 from the JAMA Open Network. body roundness index, and all-cause mortality among U.S. adults. This was pointed out to me from an article in the New York Times. We all know that BMI is inherently a great indicator of a person's health. It's very rigid in its interpretation of height versus weight, especially in people who exercise or weightlift. So researchers looked at the BRI as a potential replacement. They studied a cohort of 32,995 U.S. adults greater than age 20, which was extracted from the National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey from 1999 to 2018, and NHANES linked mortality file, with mortality ascertained through December 31st of 2019. Data was analyzed between April 1 and September 30th of 2023, and they found an association between BRI and all-cause mortality that followed a U-shape, with both lowest and highest BRI groups experiencing significantly increased risk of all-cause mortality. To calculate a BRI, you measure the circumference of the waist and the hips, as well as the person's height. There are a few free online BRI calculators available for use, but interestingly enough, the BRI calculator is not in my Hippocrates reference app, so you'll have to go online on the internet to be able to use it, but it is not widely accepted at this point, and we're still using BMI for health determinations, although it may be good to start using BRI on your patients and documenting it also. It appears to be a much better calculation to evaluate overall health. And next, 21 August 2024, PLOS 1, Relevance of Mediterranean Diet as a Nutritional Strategy in Diminishing COVID-19 Risk, a Systematic Review. I'm sure you've all read that the Mediterranean diet is the best overall diet for general health and has been now for over a decade. This research looked at it for decreasing COVID risk, and this was a systematic review of 6 articles with a sample size of 55,489 patients. All studies were observational studies and assessed the Mediterranean diet adherence using food frequency questionnaires. 4 studies found a significant correlation between increased adherence to the Mediterranean diet and reduced COVID-19 risk, while 1 study indicated non-significant association. 1 study reported a significant association between higher adherence and COVID-19 symptoms, but 3 studies reported non-significant association. 1 study found that individuals with higher adherence to the diet had reduced likelihood of developing severe COVID-19. However, 2 studies yield inconclusive findings for the same outcome. From all this, researchers concluded that higher adherence to the Mediterranean diet is a protective factor against COVID-19 itself, with unclear benefits against COVID-19 symptoms and severity. So here again, the Mediterranean diet seems to provide at least some protection against COVID-19. And this does make sense since the patients with worse symptoms usually have metabolic syndrome and/or chronic low-level systemic inflammation. Reducing these can help protect against not only COVID, but multiple other chronic diseases. As APRNs, we're perfectly positioned to use this information to set ourselves apart from other providers. So take it and start teaching your patients, educating them about the Mediterranean diet as the best overall diet for their health. And next, 12 September 2024, from the American Academy of Pediatrics, Naloxone dispensing to youth ages 10 to 17 from 2017 to 2022. Researchers used IQVIA National Prescription Audit Patient Insights data, which contains prescriptions dispensed from roughly 48,900 retail pharmacies, representing 93% of all prescriptions from all payers in the U.S. They extrapolated naloxone prescriptions from this data to patients 10 to 19 years old, and dispensing rates increased 669% from 6.8 to 50.9 prescriptions for 100,000 adolescents, with increases each year. While their conclusion states, quote, pediatricians and other youth-serving clinicians can play an important role in expanding access to naloxone and harm reduction information by prescribing naloxone to all youth who are at risk for overdose. Clinician prescribing of naloxone can augment community distribution and over-the-counter access by making naloxone more widely available at all touchpoints with the healthcare system, end quote. I see a larger concern, namely that we need to have naloxone available for this age group to begin with. To me, this is a statement on the current social climate. Drug abuse is ever increasing, and this is where we really need to spend more effort and attention. This is obviously a multi-pronged approach, with naloxone availability being only one part. And by itself, this won't stem the problem. Talk to your patients and their families, educate them, give them resources to any local agencies that can help with drug abuse and counseling and those types of things. And let's see if we can start reducing this problem as opposed to just prescribing naloxone for the problem itself. And next, 29 August 2024 from the Lancet, Global Estimation of Dietary Micronutrient Inadequacies, a Modeling Analysis. Researchers aim to estimate the global prevalence of inadequate micronutrient intakes for 15 essential micronutrients and to identify dietary nutrient gaps in specific demographic groups and countries. They use data from the Global Dietary Database on modeled median intakes of 15 micronutrients for 34 age to sex groups from 185 countries to estimate the prevalence of inadequate nutrient intakes for 99.3% of the global population. They found more than 5 billion people do not consume enough iodine, 60% of the global population. Vitamin E was 67% of the population, and calcium 66% of the population. More than 4 billion people do not consume enough iron, 65% of the population. Riboflavins, 55% of the population. Folate, 54%, and vitamin C, 53%. Within the same country and age groups, estimated inadequate intakes were higher for women than for men for iodine, vitamin B12, iron, and selenium, and higher for men than for women for magnesium, B6, zinc, vitamin C, vitamin A, thiamine, and niacin. So what does this all mean for us as APRNs? Well, first off, it's smack in the middle of our education and domain of nursing. Dietary intake is a nursing domain. Dietary education is our domain. We can make a huge difference in the health of our patients by addressing these shortcomings, and it also shows that functional medicine principles have a basis in primary care. All the nutrients studied have wide-ranging ramifications to not just overall health, but multiple different chronic conditions, including cardiovascular health, metabolic health, and even hormonal health. If you don't already, it might be a good idea to look into getting at least some education in functional medicine principles. This area of medicine is rapidly expanding and rapidly becoming more and more important, and we as APRNs are perfectly positioned to take advantage of this to set ourselves apart from other providers. Next up, 12 September 2024, another FDA press release. This one, FDA adds warning about rare occurrence of severe liver injury with use of Veozah. The FDA issued a warning that includes use of fezolinetant, a non-hormonal medication indicated for treating menopausal hot flashes. It can cause rare but serious liver injury. The brand name of it is Veozah. The liver injury warning follows an existing FDA warning about elevated liver function test values and required liver function testing in the prescribing information for fezolinetant. The FDA issued the update after reviewing post-marketing report of a patient with elevated liver function test values and signs and symptoms of liver injury after taking fezolinetant for about 40 days. So if you have a patient on this medication, make sure to educate them about these symptoms of liver injury and liver problems, as well as to continuously monitor their liver functions routinely. And last, from 12 September again 2024, this time a CDC press release. New CDC data show adult obesity prevalence remains high. New CDC population data from 2023 show that in 23 states, more than 1 in 3 adults, or 35% of the population, has obesity. Before 2013, no state had an adult obesity prevalence at or above 35%. Currently, at least 1 in 5 adults, or 20%, in each U.S. state is living with obesity. Obesity is defined by the CDC as a person who has a BMI greater than 30. Now remember, just recently, earlier here on this podcast, I discussed that BMI may not be the best indicator of health by weight. These patients that do come up with a BMI greater than 30 may be the best subset of your patients to perform the BRI on that I discussed just a little earlier. Currently, by CDC statistics, Florida has a 30.1% obesity rate using the BMI. That means 3 out of every 10 of your patients are obese and could benefit from using the BRI as a measurement of their health. They could also benefit from weight management programs, whether this be weekly injections or some other program is up to you, but this may be a good service line to introduce into your practice. And that's all I have for you today. Thank you again to our listeners for making us one of the best medical podcasts in Florida. Thank you again to all who came out to the conference this past year and making it a huge success. We appreciate your support and feedback, and we look forward to your help and assistance and seeing you at the 2025 conference in the end of April. Look forward to further information about this upcoming conference. We'll be announcing as it comes out soon. So if you want to be a part of helping us organize it, or you want to be a presenter, please let us know. We're always open to having more help. And don't forget, get your copy of the indispensable Florida Nurse Practitioner Handbook on sale now through Amazon for electronic download or paperback. As always, this is Paul Bond, APRN, for the Florida Nurse Practitioner Podcast, a presentation of the Florida Association of Nurse Practitioners, the premier organization for all APRNs in Florida, and the largest statewide APRN organization. Thanks for joining me today, and have a great day.